I need you to pretend to be my wife for 14 days.
You're not choosing me randomly.
No, someone else already has.
He didn't ask her to marry him. He asked her to survive with him. I need you to pretend to be my wife for 14 days, the mafia boss said calmly. She should have said no. Instead, she noticed something strange. Two men watching him from across the street, and the way his expression changed, not when he looked at her body, but when he looked at her face, like he was measuring something, like he already knew something she didn't. You're not choosing me randomly, she said. No, he replied. I'm choosing you because someone else already has. That was the moment her life changed. And she didn't know yet. She was stepping into a war. A powerful man does not beg. But Luca Moretti wasn't begging for love. He was baiting a predator. Years ago, a woman died in the middle of a war. A wife. An innocent casualty. Her husband survived, and he never forgave. He swore one day he would make Luca feel the same pain. But Luca never loved, never attached, never left a weakness exposed, until fate placed a stranger in his path, a woman who looked so much like the dead wife. It felt like the past had returned to breathe. Luca saw opportunity. The enemy would notice. He would react. He would make a mistake. All Luca needed was 14 days. What he didn't calculate was what happens when the bait becomes the only thing you're afraid to lose. The night Luca Moretti walked into her bookstore, the power went out. Not because of him, just bad timing. The streetlights flickered. Rain tapped softly against the glass. The shop was almost empty. She was on a ladder, reorganizing the top shelf, when the doorbell chimed. Sorry, we're closing in 10. She froze. Not because he was handsome, not because he was tall, but because the air shifted when he entered. Two men stayed outside, not security guards, soldiers. You're closing, he said calmly. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried weight. Yes, she replied, climbing down. Unless you're here to buy something. I am. She crossed her arms. What kind of book? You. She blinked. That's not funny. I'm not joking. He stepped closer, but not threateningly. Measured, controlled. I need you to pretend to be my wife. 14 days. Public appearances only. You will be protected at all times. She stared at him for a full 5 seconds. Then she laughed, a real laugh. You came into a bookstore during a storm to pitch me a fake marriage? Yes. You need therapy. A faint twitch moved in his jaw. Not irritation, restraint. I will pay you enough to close this store and never worry about rent again, he continued. Your student loans, cleared. Your father's medical bills, handled. Her smile faded slightly. You did your homework? I always do. She studied him. Dark suit, no ring, eyes too alert to be casual. You're in trouble, she said. His silence confirmed it. Why me? A pause. You're unknown, he replied smoothly. No criminal ties, no political connections, no scandals. You won't attract suspicion. That was true. She was ordinary, painfully ordinary. But something in his answer felt incomplete. You look like someone, he added before he could stop himself. Her eyebrows lifted. An ex-wife? No. The answer was sharp, too sharp. She stepped closer instead of away. You're not dangerous, she said thoughtfully. His gaze darkened. You shouldn't test that theory. She tilted her head. I don't scare easily. I know. That was the problem. Outside, a car slowed slightly before driving off. His jaw tightened. 14 days, he repeated. And you walk away untouched. Untouched. The word lingered. You're not telling me everything, she said. No. At least he was honest. She should have said no. Every smart instinct told her to. But she had always been stubborn, and somewhere beneath his controlled expression, she saw urgency. Not manipulation, not lust. Urgency. 2 weeks, she said finally. Public only. No lies about who I am. And you answer my questions. His eyes narrowed slightly. You negotiate. I don't scare easily, she reminded him. A beat passed. Then he extended his hand. Welcome to the most dangerous 14 days of your life. She took it, and somewhere across the city, a grieving man received a photograph and smiled. By morning, her life no longer looked like her own. A black car waited outside her apartment. 2 silent men stood by the door. Her landlord suddenly stopped asking about overdue repairs. Efficient, too efficient. She packed 1 suitcase. If this is a kidnapping, she told Luca as she slid into the back seat, it's the most organized one I've ever seen. He didn't smile. I don't kidnap people who agree to come. That's comforting? Slightly. The mansion rose at the edge of the city like it didn't belong to the same world. Steel gates, armed guards, cameras angled in every direction. It wasn't luxury that unsettled her. It was preparation. Inside, everything was immaculate. Marble floors, dark wood, art that looked expensive enough to intimidate. But there were no large windows in the main living areas. Only reinforced glass. You expecting a hurricane? She asked casually. Yes. He didn't elaborate. Her optimism didn't disappear, but it sharpened. Staff greeted her respectfully, not warmly, carefully. Your room is this way, Luca said. Room? She teased lightly. I thought we were married. We are. Then, you'll have your own space. She stopped walking. You don't plan to share? His expression didn't change. This arrangement is strategic, not intimate. She searched his face for mockery. There was none, just control. Good, she replied, because I snore. He almost smiled. Almost. By afternoon, stylists arrived. Designers, security consultants, a media strategist. Within hours, she wasn't just a stranger. She was Mrs. Moretti. That part bothered her. You move fast, she told him later, as they stood on the balcony overlooking the city. I don't move slow. You don't relax either. His silence answered that. That evening, they attended a charity gala, their first public appearance. Cameras flashed, whispers followed. Speculation spread instantly. He kept a hand at her lower back. Not possessive, protective. She noticed the way his eyes never stopped scanning the room. She noticed the way he positioned himself slightly between her and the crowd. And then she noticed him. Across the room, a man standing alone, not smiling, not speaking, just watching her, not Luca, her. His expression wasn't anger, it was recognition. A chill ran through her spine. Who is that? She asked softly. Luca followed her gaze. For the first time since she met him, his composure cracked. just a flicker. That, he said quietly, is someone who should not be here. The man across the room lifted his glass slightly, not in greeting, in promise. Later that night, security tripled. Phones rang constantly. Orders were given in low, controlled tones. She stood in the hallway listening. They've seen her. She looks exactly like... The sentence cut off when Luca noticed her. Like who? She asked. His jaw tightened. No one. She crossed her arms. You said you'd answer my questions. He stepped closer. I said I'd protect you. That's not the same thing. For the first time, she saw something unfamiliar in his eyes. Not calculation. Concern. Real concern. And somewhere in the city. A grieving man placed her photo beside an old framed picture and whispered his dead wife's name. The attack didn't happen in the dark. It happened in daylight, which somehow made it worse. She was leaving a private luncheon arranged by Luca's team. Another public appearance, another stage smile for cameras. Everything had gone smoothly. Too smoothly. As she stepped toward the car, she noticed something strange. No photographers, no reporters, just silence. The kind that feels intentional. She paused. Where's Luca? She asked one of the guards. Delayed. He'll meet you at the house. She nodded, trying to ignore the tightness in her chest. The car door opened. She never made it inside. A black van jumped the curb. Too fast, too direct. Men poured out. Not clumsy criminals. Trained, precise. One grabbed her arm. She reacted instantly, stubborn, not helpless. She drove her heel into his foot and twisted free. Wrong woman, she snapped. But the man froze when he looked at her face. Really looked. And in that split second, his grip loosened. It's her, he muttered. Not confused, certain. Gunshots cracked through the air. Luca's security team responded instantly. Chaos exploded across the pavement. She dropped to the ground as someone pulled her behind the armored SUV. The van screeched away under a storm of bullets. It was over in less than 30 seconds. But 30 seconds was enough. Enough to understand this wasn't random. When Luca arrived minutes later, his expression wasn't anger. It was ice. Are you hurt? No, she said, breath shaky but steady. They weren't trying to kill me. His eyes flickered. They hesitated. He didn't answer. They looked at my face like they recognized me, she continued. Still silence. That silence was louder than the gunfire. Back at the mansion, she refused to sit, refused to calm down. You're not surprised, she accused. I'm managing the situation. That's not what I said. He stepped closer, voice controlled. You're alive. That's what matters. To you. The word slipped out sharper than she intended. He stared at her. You think this doesn't matter to me? I think, she said carefully, you expected something like this. A pause. Too long. Her optimism didn't vanish, but it cracked. Who thinks I'm someone else? She asked. No one. Stop lying. His jaw tightened. He hated that she was observant, hated that she didn't scare easily, because fear would have made this easier. You resemble someone, he said finally. Her stomach dropped. Who? He didn't answer. Instead, he walked to his desk and opened a drawer. He hesitated, then slid a photograph across the table. She looked down and felt the blood drain from her face. It wasn't just similar, it was almost identical. Same eyes, same smile, same stubborn tilt of the head. Only the clothes were older. The picture slightly faded. "Who is she?" she whispered. Luca's voice was quiet. "She's the reason this started." She was his wife. Luca didn't look at her when he said it. He looked at the photograph instead. She died during a shipment war 8 years ago. Wrong place, wrong time. "And he blames you," she said quietly. "Yes." The answer was calm, too calm. She studied the woman in the picture again. It was unsettling, not just resemblance, similarity in posture, expression, even the faint dimple when she smiled. "Did you know?" she asked slowly. "Know what?" "That I looked like her." Silence. That was her answer. "You did," she whispered. Luca finally met her eyes. I knew it would get his attention. The room felt smaller, colder. "You didn't tell me," she said. "No. You chose me because I looked like her. I chose you because you were strong enough to handle it." Her laugh this time wasn't light. It was wounded. "That's not protection. That's strategy." He stepped closer. It was controlled. "I was attacked in daylight. I handled it. That's not the point." Her voice cracked for the first time. Not from fear, from betrayal. "You didn't just need a fake wife," she said slowly. "You needed him to see me." Luca didn't deny it. That hurt more than if he had. "You're using me," she said. "No." "Then what is this?" He hesitated. That hesitation said everything. Before he could answer, one of his men knocked urgently. "Sir, we intercepted a call." Luca stepped into the hallway. She didn't mean to follow, but she did. "He took the bait," the guard said quietly. "Once she's isolated, he'll move." Silence. Then Luca's low voice. "Good." The word hit her like a slap. Good. She stepped back before they noticed her. Her heartbeat pounded in her ears. Bait. She wasn't protection. She wasn't a wife. She was leverage. And he had known from the beginning. She returned to the bedroom slowly, sat on the edge of the bed. Her optimism had always been her strength. She believed people weren't purely cruel, believed there was always reason, but reason didn't erase reality. Minutes later, Luca entered. He knew. He could see it in her face. "You heard." Not a question. "You said I'd walk away untouched," she said quietly. "You will. You can't promise that." He stepped closer. "I can. You already broke your first promise." The words landed heavy. His composure faltered, just slightly. "I didn't plan for it to go this far," he admitted. "That's worse." Because it meant he underestimated the danger, or overestimated his control. "Say it," she demanded softly. "Say what?" "Say I was bait." The silence stretched. Then, "You were bait." There it was, honest, brutal. Her eyes shimmered, not weak, not broken, just hurt. "And now?" she asked. Now his voice changed, lower, less strategic. "Now you're the only thing I'm afraid of losing." Outside the mansion walls, the grieving husband prepared his next move. And this time, he wasn't sending men. He was coming himself. The enemy didn't strike at the mansion. He waited. And that was worse. Luca couldn't predict patience. 3 nights after the truth came out, Elena couldn't sleep. She wasn't angry anymore. She was thinking about the woman in the photo, about the war, about the grief, about the fact that she had been placed in the middle of something that started long before she existed. She understood danger, but she also understood patterns, and something didn't add up. If the enemy wanted revenge, why hadn't he attacked directly? Why the hesitation in the street? Why the look of recognition? That afternoon, she asked to visit the city alone. Luca refused. For the first time, she didn't argue. She simply said, "If this is about her, I need to understand." He studied her, then gave one condition: 2 guards. She agreed. The visit to the bookstore should have been normal, but when she stepped inside, the lights were off, too dark. The guards moved ahead cautiously. That's when the front door locked, from the outside, not inside. A trap. A voice echoed from the back room. "You really do look like her." She turned slowly, and there he was, the grieving husband, older than she expected, eyes filled with something unstable, not rage, grief turned inside out. "I thought Luca would come," he said. "He will," she replied calmly. That confidence unsettled him. "You're not afraid?" "No." That answer confused him more than resistance would have. "I wanted him to feel loss," he said quietly. "But you make it complicated." She took a slow step forward. What happened to her wasn't his fault, was it? The question froze him. For a second. Just 1 second. And in that second, she saw it. Guilt. Not hatred. Guilt. The man wasn't hunting Luca because he killed his wife. He was hunting him because he believed Luca failed to save her. The war, the timing, the chaos. Luca had tried to intervene, but arrived too late. The enemy misinterpreted it as betrayal, and now revenge had grown for years. Outside, engines roared. Luca, fast, angry, not strategic anymore. The doors exploded open. Security flooded in. But Luca didn't scan the room. He scanned her when he saw she was standing, unharmed. Something inside him shifted permanently. He didn't draw his weapon first. He stepped in front of her, not as a mafia boss, as a shield. "You don't touch her," he said quietly to the grieving man. The enemy lowered his weapon slightly. "You took my wife." "No," Luca replied. "I didn't." Silence. For the first time, the truth entered the room. Elena stepped forward. "She's not your wife," she said gently, "and I'm not her replacement." The enemy's expression trembled. Pain surfaced fully now. Not rage, loss. And suddenly, the war felt smaller. Luca didn't attack. He lowered his gun because he realized something devastating. If he killed this man, the cycle would never end. Instead, he said quietly, "It wasn't revenge that brought you here. It was grief." The enemy's hands shook, and for the first time in years, he lowered his weapon completely. Elena looked at Luca and saw something new in him. Not control, not calculation, choice. He reached for her hand, not to pull her behind him, but to stand beside her. And in that moment, she understood. He didn't use her. He used the situation. But somewhere along the way, he stopped seeing her as bait and started seeing her as his reason to fight differently. The war ended that night, not with blood, with truth.